The 938th edition of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog. Underdog is hooking up new customers. Play just $5 and get $100 in bonus funds when you sign up with promo code MMA SGPN.
Heidi ho, Generinos. Welcome to episode 938 of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, dedicated to Iron Teal, I believe. My eyes aren't working. I followed your tips for LFA 219 and they were disastrous. So this goes out to you, Iron Teal.
I went 3-2.
I know. I can't always give, like, most of the comments are, you guys are amazing. I hit a plus 2100 play and all that stuff.
I went 3-2 and hit an underdog in the main event.
Yeah, it's never. Yeah, the complaints we get, which is fine because I find them funny. It's never seems to be justified though. But anyhow, I am the spicy.
My PFL Africa fights were way worse.
Yeah, come on, complain about that. Are you still Gumby or are you going to be the goddamn wizard now?
No, I can be the goddamn wizard Gumby for you. Yeah. Gumby is pretty much a first name now, so we're just gonna.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I don't even call you Daniel anymore, or Danny, or Dan. Yeah, see, we got positive comments even on Spotify. Good work in DWCS. Good work, I should say so. All right, so lest someone think first time here that we really do suck at this. I say the royal we. Gumby is actually good at picking regional MMA. Maybe before we dive into LFA 220, you can give us a recap. I think you were over forward plus 40 units for the year. Maybe you've dipped down. I'm not sure.
No, we didn't dip down. So we had a little bit of a rough time on PFL Africa. I want to say I went 3-2 on PFL Africa. And there was, no underdogs and some kind of juicy lines there. Missed on one big favorite too. So we're down a little bit on PFL Africa. Made a little bit back on LFA because as I just said, I went 3-2 and hit an underdog in the main event. Yeah. So that was pretty good.
Disaster, Gumby. That's a disaster.
Those two put together pretty much broke even. And then we swept KSW 5-0 in KSW, which included an underdog as well. So we wound up being up about 3 units on the weekend, bringing us to a grand total of about 43 units on the year.
You know what I call that? I call that disastrous, Gumby.
Yeah, it's a disaster. I hate when I'm up that much. And that's for people who are new to the show too. That's 43 units. We don't bet more than 1 unit per fight. And it's always just the money line. And we have no option to pass. So that's not a sustainable way to do anything unless you're picking at a pretty good clip.
That's what I tell people. Don't blindly follow anyone, even a goddamn wizard or god like Gumby. Obviously, do your own research as well as the conspiracy people like to say online. Do your own research. All right, we got LFA 220 coming up. Reminder that the NHL is back. Another thing you can watch and gamble on. And so is the Hockey Gambling Podcast. Jim, Ryan, and Joel as they break down the biggest games, storylines, awards, and best bets throughout the season. Let it slide. Always have good stories. Joel lives quite a life. Quite a life of the life of the degen.
He lives quite a life.
It's true. It's always like, wow, your stories are insane. I guess I have a sheltered life myself, but anyhow, good. They don't just talk about hockey. Joel always likes to throw in some other sports as well. So check them out. Always a fun listen. Now that they don't slander me like they used to a few years ago. LFA 220, Gumby. Thoughts on the LFA 220, which is going down in the Arizona Financial Theater in Phoenix, Arizona, United States?
It's fun. Got a couple, no title fights, which is, the LFA does title fights sometimes and not other times. But they do have a pair of fighters who have got Contender Series history. Granted, not winning Contender Series history, but are now on their way into fighting back into that contention. You got another guy who I really think got shortchanged and should have gotten a Contender Series fight. You got a UFC cast off. You got a little taste of everything up here on this LFA card, that's usually what we want when we're working with LFA.
And for me, since I like the names, the name game, we have 2 fighters with the same name fighting each other. We have brothers fighting in back-to-back fights that we're going to cover. So yeah, it's fun that way. So LFA 220 is called Tanner versus Sear and is going down on Saturday, 7 p.m. start time. So you can watch this along with the UFC pay-per-view. You have your means. UFC Fight Pass. Arizona Financial Theater, as I said, in Phoenix. If you want to head to it, we have fans all over. They're sending us photos of ringside in some far-off lands all the time. So it's fun. 13 fights. All right, we're going to cover the 5 that Gumby finds the juiciest, and then you'll have plenty to choose from for what we like to call the lightning round. One of our listeners gave us that title, and we forget who it was. So
yeah, we keep trying to entice you. Like, we'll probably send you a shirt
Exactly.
or something if you'd take credit for it and are actually the person. But there's
Exactly.
I can't find it.
No. I think it might have been on, I don't know if I can't remember even what
I think it was a YouTube comment.
Yeah. All right. Something I do know is we're starting with as of now, the main event of the prelims, Mexico versus Mexico action, women's strawweight, and they have the same last name, Leslie Hernandez, Flor Hernandez. We've talked about both these ladies before, I believe, right?
Extensively.
On this show. Yeah, there you go. Compine is the Flor Hernandez's nickname, which means compete. She's 4-3, 1 knockout, 1 submission. She's been submitted once. 0-1 in LFA. She's lost 3 straight, got submitted in her last bout. She's not won since February 2023. She went 0-2 in Invicta. Used to fight down at atomweight. Come on, UFC. Do it. 0-1 in Muay Thai, 4-inch reach advantage over Hernandez. This Hernandez, you may remember as Dora the Destroyer. I believe she was on your podcast, right?
She was. Yeah, we talked about that nickname.
Not only do both these ladies have the same last name, they have the same record, 4-3, and they both have 2 finishes. Dora's with 2 knockouts. She's been submitted once as well, just like Hernandez. So very similar. I have a feeling that they're not similar once Gumby breaks them down, though. Hernandez 4-2 in LFA. She's lost 2 straight, though, ever since Gumby interviewed her, I assume. Submission loss in her last bout. 0-1 in Contender Series. Who she lose to, Gumby?
It was Julieta Martinez.
And she's an inch taller than the other Hernandez. All right, no odds yet, but they shall be coming shortly.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a close one, odds-wise. I think I'd give the slight edge to Leslie Hernandez, being that she was on Contender Series. So, but probably still only in the -130 kind of range. They're both 4-3. You can't install one of them as like a 2-1 or 3-1 favorite. And Flor Hernandez, to her credit, has lost to some really high-level competition. Her last fight was against Gigi Canuto. She lost to Ana Palacios. Favorite of the show, Ana Palacios, short queen. And then she also lost to Elisa Fajeda, who's a pretty badass too, fighting over in Invicta. So she's lost a really good competition, but the bottom line is the thing that keeps getting Flor Hernandez in trouble is that she keeps getting taken down. Ana Palacios, right? She's a boxer. I remember breaking down that fight and being like, Ana Palacios is going to box Flor Hernandez up real bad. In fact, that was the first time we got Ana Palacios as a pretty big underdog. And she looked like she could, but then Ana Palacios was also like, why don't I take her down? Because she seems like she's right there. And so we've seen her get taken down in both of her Invicta fights, and that was down at atomweight, which is not great, right? Because now you're fighting somebody who's even bigger. And Leslie Hernandez is a pretty good striker. She kind of hung with Julieta Martinez on that Contender Series fight. And she didn't win or even come close to winning, in my opinion, but she hung with her on the feet. And then if you go back to some of her fights before she was on Contender Series, she does have a little bit of wrestling. Her wrestling is not bad. I remember watching her fight. I think she fought Jade Duran, who's again, kind of just one of these names that pops up in Invicta and all these, LFA and promotions around. But she fought Jade Duran and got her own takedown game going, despite being somebody who we think of as being a little bit more of a striking specialist. But she got a great camp behind her, and comes in with a good game plan. So I have to imagine, being that she's going to be the bigger fighter, Flor Hernandez is not cutting very much weight to get down to straw weight. I think you're going to see Leslie Hernandez kind of play the bully. And even if she doesn't, I think I like her chances on the feet. But I do think she can just be a bully in this fight and take her down, and beat her up, tire her out. So give me probably, as a very ever so slight favorite, Leslie Hernandez.
All right. Slight favorite for Leslie Hernandez. Okay. Locked in, Dora the Destroyer. All right. We're moving on up the card. Opening of the main card. Chance Ikei versus a Jordan Burkholder. They are both Americans. They're fighting at, what did I say? Flyweight. Yes. Burkholder. Butters is the nickname. Assuming he kind of looks like Butters from South Park.
Is that what it's? That's a South Park nickname?
Yeah. You don't know your South Park, right?
I'm not a big South Park guy, but yeah.
Butters is a character. Okay. All right. Burkholder, 6-2, 1 knockout, 3 submissions. Never been finished in a fight. 1-2 in LFA. Lost win over his last 4. Right. He is a regional champ, or was a regional champ. Ikei, the Typhoon. 5-0, 2 knockouts, 1 submission. He's 4-0 in LFA, 2 straight wins via finish. He's a year younger than Burkholder, 4 inches taller.
Yeah, so I think Ikei is going to be a big favorite here. My guess is like maybe high 200s, like a low 200s return for Burkholder, like 225 or something like that. I'm going to take a stab on an underdog here. I know Chance Ikei is like he's like the fun prospect right now. He's 5-0, and he's kind of what we thought about Jordan Burkholder like 4 fights ago. Burkholder, I was really big on as a prospect. And I was like, this guy, we're going to see this guy in Contender Series soon. And he kind of petered out and didn't really make that much noise. And Ikei is kind of in that spot right now where it's like, oh yeah, he's probably a year and 3 wins away from being on Contender Series. But I do think this is kind of a bad matchup for him. And the reason why is like, first of all, he can be a little bit tentative on his feet. He's like very patient. And while that's like good for a young guy and a guy with this much experience to already be patient and mature and all the stuff that you would hope for him to develop into on the feet, it has made him like adverse to pressure. So like he's gotten so used to being the guy who like walks forward and picks you apart and decides when things start that you can see a little bit when somebody turns up the pressure and gets a little wild on him and gets in his face and turns something into a dogfight. You can see he's like very uncomfortable. Like he has very much been trained to be the guy who dictates the pace and keeps this slow and steady and keeps his distance, throws his push kicks to make sure that he keeps that distance. So when it doesn't happen, it freaks him out a little bit. And I think Burkholder is a guy who brings kind of some wild striking. He's not particularly technical on the feet, but he does that for a reason. Is because it gets him to his wrestling, which is what made him a prospect in the first place. He's got above average wrestling for this level flyweight. Not only is it above average, but like he's got really good control on top. He's excellent at getting to the hips and pulling the hips away from the cage and making sure that he's got a good base underneath him so his opponent's not getting away. He's a position over submission guy, which, can hurt some people. But like in this case, I think it's going to play really well, especially because all I think he's got to do is just back up Ikei early, force him to like kind of freak out. Cause like, I do think Chance Ikei, despite being, probably more technical in, 9 out of 10 realms you could come up with in this fight, is going to be like forced out of his comfort zone. And for that reason, I'll take a stab on Burkholder.
All right, there you go. He's not just randomly, wildly taking dogs. He can tell you why he's taking these dogs. All right, before we get maybe to some more dogs, we're definitely going to get to some Natividad at the very least. Let me tell you about mybookie.ag. We are brought to you by them. And MyBookie is your place to bet on football and everything else. Their prop builder is second to none. Their motto is bet on anything, anywhere, anytime, just like the rest of you degens. Easy deposit, lightning fast payouts using crypto. They will have LFA lines. If they don't, by the time you hear this or see this, they will very shortly. Head to mybookie.ag, sign up with our promo code MMASGPN. That way you get 100% bet back bonus up to $500 for new customers. So that's mybookie.ag, promo code MMASGPN. We're also brought to you by No Vig. That's NOVIG, all one word. No Vig is America's #1 sports prediction market. No Vig, you're getting the best prices. They have reduced juice. You can get like minus 103 lines over there. No Vig is available in 35 plus states. Download No Vig app and get $50 when you spend $5 if you use our promo code SGPN. Get in on the action with No Vig, promo code SGPN. All right, we are moving on up. The first Natividad, Kevin Natividad, United States. Ryan Kuse from United States as well. They're fighting at bantamweight. I'll tell you about Kuse. Is it Kuse?
I think it's Kuse.
Kuse is a 3rd Street savage. I know that much. Don't hang out on 3rd Street, ladies and gentlemen. He's 7-2 with 5 knockouts. He has never been finished in a fight. This is his LFA debut. Win-loss over his last 3. He's not fought since April 2024. Regional champion. Used to fight at 145. 1-0 in pro karate. 1-0 bare knuckle MMA. A year younger than Natividad. 3 inches taller. 4-inch reach advantage. So much bigger, especially for bantamweight. Natividad, quick sand, is 9-4, 5 knockouts, 1 submission. He's been knocked out 3 times. He's 4-1 in LFA. He's lost 3 straight fights though, and he's not fought since November 2022. He's not won since July 2020. He went 0-3 in the UFC. So is he just coming back to fight on a card with his brother, do you think, here, Gumby, or is this a full-fledged comeback?
I don't know if this was gets released from the UFC and is like, screw this, or if it was got released from the UFC and was like, I don't want to do this anymore, and then kind of convinced himself he does. I'm not really sure the reason why. The interesting thing is they actually don't train together anymore, which is also quite weird. Yeah, they
interesting.
So Kevin Natividad is a fight ready guy. And for this fight camp, for the first time ever, and we'll break this down a little bit more when we talk about Christian is going to be an MMA lab guy. So roughly the same area, but he left fight ready to go train with John Crouch over at MMA lab. But for Natividad, I think he's going to be an underdog the time away, the losses. How big of an underdog? I don't know, because like Kuse is kind of a, kind of like we were talking about with Burkholder, was kind of like a prospecty guy a few years ago and took some losses in there. And maybe we think of him as less of a prospect now. Natividad, those losses in the UFC, but like at the same time, he had time in the UFC. So I have to imagine Natividad like plus 165 maybe. And I'm going to take him in this one, despite the fact that, he did have that long layoff and he did look kind of bad in the UFC. The things I liked about him in the UFC, I think play well against Kuse. Kuse is a guy who would like to wrestle a little bit, and Natividad did pretty well in the wrestling department when it came to his fights in the UFC. Like he wrestled with Ricky Tercios in that fight, and had a lot of great positions to the point where some people think he won more rounds than they actually gave him. So, there's that piece right there. He's really great at scrambling and forcing people into worse positions when they grapple. And then the other thing I like about him too is just like, so because he has that wrestling base, he feels you can tell he feels more free letting go because he's not so worried about being taken down. And the extra beauty on top of that too, when we talk about Kuse, is like Kuse's shots are kind of obvious. He looks like he's a guy who has had trouble blending when he's striking and when he's grappling. It feels very compartmentalized when he's fighting. I'm like, oh, right now he's loading up for a shot and looking for a shot. He never really surprises me with a takedown. It's very clear. Like he has a switch in his head that switches mode. Now it's grappling time. And like that tends to play poorly against somebody who is, like I said, he feels comfortable striking because his grappling is so good. So he's kind of got that like ace up his sleeve there. And I think that plays well for Natividad. Now, obviously, it's weird being that like he's out of camp with his brother for pretty much the first time in his career. It's also weird that he's been away from the cage for so long. I think all of those things probably make it a little bit harder of a lay if he is in the mid 100s in terms of plus money. Like I'd feel really comfortable playing him up in the low to mid twos. But if he is down where I kind of expect him to be because his UFC resume like draws it down, I don't know if I'll get there on a play. So Kevin Natividad is the pick. But obviously a little bit worried about what that layoff does for him.
So you're worried it's gonna be around plus 150-ish range? Is that the issue?
Yeah, maybe a little higher than that, like at 65, probably 165 is my guess.
Okay, cool. How about we talk about another Natividad now? Christian Natividad. He is in the co-main event. He's fighting Jostin Quilca. Natividad is from the United States. Quilca is from Ecuador. They're fighting 3 5-minute rounds. They are fighting down at flyweight. Let's tell you about Quilca first. 9-2, 2 knockouts, 6 submissions. He's been knocked out once. This is his LFA debut. He's won 8 straight fights, 2 straight via submission. He's not fought though since December 2023. He's not lost since July 2019. He's a regional champ. He's fought at 135 and 145. 4 years younger than Natividad, an inch taller. Natividad, the Hawaiian Punch, 7-0 with 2 knockouts. All those fights taking place in LFA. Used to fight at 135.
Yeah, so my guess is Natividad here minus 500 or something like that. As I mentioned during the breakdown of his brother's fight, he is working at the MMA lab here, which is gonna change some things about his fight, or at least he's hoping it changes things about his fight because, for those of you who don't know, he is 7-0 as a prospect, as Jeff just said. The last 5 of those wins are all by decision. He was like in talks to possibly go on The Ultimate Fighter. He turned it down because he was like, I'm 7-0 and a prospect and fighting in LFA. They'll call me for Contender Series. And basically he pretty much, surmised that they didn't because of the decisions. So I think you're going to see a Christian Natividad who's like a little bit more, finish forward, finish heavy in terms of what he's doing. He really likes the stuff that's coming out of the MMA lab right now. Like I think he's He's very in sync with John Crouch, despite only being with him for like 3 months or so. And also just like in general, like I love this matchup stylistically. Quilca is a guy who, he's a pretty good striker. But the big problem is like defensively, he's not. And the thing I've noticed the worst about him when he does get hit is he can't not return that strike. If he gets hit with anything, he's like, I have to go get that back. Like it's almost like he's got a scorecard in his head, and he's like, when he's down, he's going to go fix it. And it's caused him in many cases to be like a little erratic on the feet, to be a little unsafe on the feet. And if he fights anybody with good counters, like they're going to punish the hell out of him for that. And like Natividad has good counters. Like that's, one thing you can say about him already. He also kind of, and I know this is crazy to say about a guy who's coming off of 5 straight decision wins. He's got kind of a lot of power for a flyweight. Like I've seen him drop people with a jab and like really, really, really hurt him. He like steps into that jab really hard, which I think could be big if he tags Quilca with a straight and circles away. Quilca comes running back to try to get that one back. Like I could see him just sitting into a jab and just absolutely demolishing Quilca with it. So like I love that facet of what he does, and especially love it here against Quilca. And then in addition to that too, like Natividad, similar to his brother, like a pretty damn good wrestler, good at scrambling. I think he only uses it when he's like really in a bad place on the feet, if he senses danger, if he's not really happy with what he sees. He's a little bit less good at keeping it on the ground where he wants to, but like it's a great like I need to clear the cobwebs kind of double leg, or it's a great like I got to close out this round with something special in order to make sure I win it kind of stuff. So like I think Christian Natividad probably a large favorite. Depending on how large, probably a parlay piece, but nevertheless, he should win this one.
All right. Natividad is the pick in the second Natividad fight. That makes sense. Actually, you picked Natividad in both fights. Is it Natividad? Now I can't say the name.
Parlay?
Natividad parlay or Natividad team ride, family ride. All right. Before we get to the main event, Underdog Fantasy is a great place to play fantasy pick'em, where you can win up to 500 times your entry. Simply pick higher or lower on your favorite players' stats. It's available for 10 sports. Gummy's going to give you one such sport right now, I bet.
Yeah, let's go for football. Monday Night Football. We've got the Buccaneers playing, who I already talked about liking yesterday on the money line or the spread. But if you're going to go over to Underdog Fantasy, let's go with Baker Mayfield. Let's go higher than on his passing yards. They got him listed at 243.5 on the projection. 250 seems well within reach for my man. So give me the higher than on Baker Mayfield's passing yards.
All right. Underdog's got a brand new offer for new customers. Play just $5 and get $100 in bonus funds when you sign up with our code MMASGPN. And Rhythm, RITHMM. Rhythm is crushing it in college football and NFL with picks and props. Rhythm is also giving away weekly cash prizes just for tracking your bets in the app. Track 5 bets of the same type from any model you build, and you can win $1,000. Gummy's going to help you with the play right now, I bet.
Sure, let's go to the second Monday Night Football game. We got the Seahawks playing at home with the 12th man at like 10 o'clock at night, which is wild. But they're playing the Texans. I think they cover the 3.5. So give me the Seahawks.
All right. Seahawks is the play. Yeah, use promo code SGPN25 when you download the Rhythm app for 25% off your first month. Download Rhythm and use the promo code SGPN25. That's RITHMM. I know Seahawks fans. Vancouver people are Seahawks fans. So
that makes sense.
Yeah,
that's right there.
That's this team. They're also Mariners fans, which is difficult at this time right now, playing the Jays. So,
well,
Traders.
As of now, this is dropping Monday. I don't think they're playing the Jays anymore. I regret to inform you.
Boy, that is harsh. All right,
you're starting to savage again. What are you doing? You got shelled last time.
Keep going to the well with the rookie. Make sure they destroy his confidence for
the rest of his life. Yeah,
the rest of his life. Yep. We got bantamweights in the main event. Kasey Tanner, Michael Sear. They are fighting. They're Americans. As I said, 135. The mullet, Michael Sear. 8-1, 1 knockout, 7 submissions. He's been submitted once. He owes his rounds. Damn it. 1-1 in LFA. He's won 4 straight, all via submission. He's not lost since September 2022. He has got multiple region championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get our shirts, get our merch, sportsgamblingpockets.com/store. Use Fight at 145. 3-1 as a pro grappler, 3 years younger than Tanner, 2 inches taller, 3-inch reach advantage over Tanner. Tanner is 8-1, 2 knockouts, 3 submissions. He's never been finished in a fight. 3-0 in LFA. He's won 2 straight. He's not lost since September 2023. He went 0-1 on the Contender Series because he lost 2.
He was the one who lost a quadruple super whale champ, Gian Matsumoto.
There you go. 0-1 as a pro grappler as well. Take her away.
You remember during that fight, like Kasey Tanner's getting beat and Michael Bisping's making it sound like Gian Matsumoto is GSP.
Yeah.
And like, no offense to Kasey Tanner, great fighter.
Yeah.
But like beating up Kasey Tanner is not the same as being GSP. Wild. With that being said, Kasey Tanner, big favorite here. Probably in the mid twos, say like 250, and clearly my play here. Anything less south of like 350 here is playable on the money line. Never mind like working it into a parlay, because I just think it's like that safe. Michael Sear does like a lot of flailing in his strike. Like, he looks super uncomfortable and super unpolished in terms of his striking. And I get why they're putting him in this main event. Like, they need somebody with a good record to fight Kasey Tanner to help him work back to the top. And Sear has got that record. I'm just like, his striking seems like it's so far behind Kasey Tanner's. And his jiu-jitsu is nice. Like, that's probably why he's got the record he does. He's like wicked crafty in terms of his jiu-jitsu, but like, I think he has to grapple at Kasey Tanner's will. You know, like, if Kasey Tanner's like, nah, this is a striking match, it will be a striking match. Kasey Tanner is a much better wrestler than Michael Sear. And, you know, Kasey Tanner kind of had not a ton of moments, but he had some decent moments against Gian Matsumoto, who we know is like a tough out no matter what.
Gian SP.
Yeah,
that's
Gian
his nickname. Gian SP.
No, it's got to be quadruple Super World champ. I can't remember who coined that in the Discord, but it was great.
One of our friends, Eric maybe.
It might have been Eric Does Sports. Yeah, if it's not, we can give him credit for things that aren't even his.
Yeah,
he's a good guy. So yeah, like, you know, Kasey Tanner's looked really good since that loss. He fought Macias Urenia. That's the guy who goes by Pink Ranger. Which there are a couple of Pink Rangers too, I think. But he like looked good in that.
Want me to look that up now too?
Yeah, I think there's like, the weird thing is I think there's a lot of dudes who are Pink Ranger.
Yeah.
Which is,
there's 54 honey badgers. What we have confirmed that, at least according to
you give me the notes on Pink Ranger and I'll continue with my
2. Only 2. One man, one woman.
Who's the woman?
Urena and Brianna Fissori.
Oh yeah.
Ikei, Urena, yeah. It's a Pink Ranger episode.
Okay, Pink Ranger. But yeah, anyway, he looked good against Urenia. Had a little bit of trouble with the wrestling, but I think Michael Sear is just like, you know, 3 steps below that wrestling wise. So I think you're going to see Kasey Tanner kind of win wherever he wants. And like, really, Sear's only path to victory, in my opinion, is like on a takedown, finding some sort of submission against Kasey Tanner.
All right. Let's give you a recap, and then we'll get you some bonus plays. He's got Tanner. He has got both Natividad in their fights. That makes it easy for you. He has got Burkholder, hopefully as a sizable dog. He has got Hernandez, Dora the Destroyer kind, which is Leslie Hernandez. All right, lightning rounds. That Bad Boom Pow. Hit us with some more plays. Another Natividad, perhaps? There could have been one.
There isn't. This first one I'm going to play is kind of weird. I'm going to take this guy named Nolan Linebaugh. I watched some of his amateur fights. Very, very fun. 8-1 as an Ami. His only loss is to Kasey Tanner as an amateur. So like, very, very good stuff. And then I realized slowly as I was watching some of his film that he hasn't fought in 9 years. I was like, that footage did look a little
grainy footage.
That footage did look a little grainy, but now he's a 0-0. He's gonna make his pro debut 9 years after giving up as an amateur, and he was like looks so good as an amateur. You know, only losing to Kasey Tanner, real feather in his cap. Who knows how he's aged? But it's an 0-0 fight versus an 0-0 fight, so sometimes you can get those at like pretty close to even money because the books don't know what to do. And with 9 years layoff, like, I mean, he could be a different human being at this point, but it's like kind of fun to think about. So that's Nolan Linebaugh. The other one I'm going to take is Lavio Hibiero, 4-0 MMA lab prospect, absolutely sick jiu-jitsu, good finishes, a lot of fun to watch. So once again, that's Lavio Hibiero and Nolan Linebaugh as my 2 lightning round picks.
All right, you are set for LFA 220. get more of us in the Discord, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord, on YouTube if you're not checking us out there already. Subscribe, hit the comments, all that good stuff. On the old Twitter, SGPN MMA, he's at Gummy Brilliant. I'm at Jeff Fox Writer, at Jeff Fox Writer on Instagram. Money MMA is my Substack. You get to my free UFC pick and contest and check out all my MMA writing over there. Gummy has another podcast, Top Turtle MMA. There's no jinx associated now. It's only good things. People win when they go on his show. Who's going to win this week? Because they're on your show.
We've got the aforementioned Christian Natividad, who's fighting on this LFA 220 card. And then we're also talking to Abdul Karim Al Sawadi, who is fighting over at UFC 321. This 321? 321? I got that right number right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
sure. 321. He's fighting over in is it Abu Dhabi? UAE?
See, we don't even know what number it is, and now you're asking me where it is. I think it is over there. You're right. Yeah,
somewhere over there.
And it is somewhere not by us is where the event's taking place. So that we'll be talking about that very soon. Yeah, Etihad Arena, Abu Dhabi is where it's taking place. All right. Of course, you can check us. That's Top Turtle. You can check us out at sportsgamblingpodcast.com, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. More regional MMA action tomorrow after Gumby Bootsy for a while.
All right. I'm Danny Gumby Freeland. He's the Pink Ranger, Jeff Fox, and we will see you tomorrow.